All right. Hey, Mr. President, we're starting. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Bern. You've made it, some of you for the first time, to the Insel campus. We're very happy to have you because today is a very special day. In the name of the institutions of sitem-insel, Sitem Startup Club, and SICTIC, I welcome you to the first combined event of this kind. I've been looking forward to this for a long time because I always thought, wouldn't it be great if the most prestigious and largest investor club of Switzerland would also come here to Bern and see what we've been doing in the field of MEDTECH. Today is that day. So I'm very proud, I'm very excited. What excites me even more is that this room is full. We have even people standing. This is amazing. What a turnout. And I know how hard it is for most of you who come from Zurich to come to Bern. And many of you have made their money in IT, and we'll talk today only about MEDTECH. I think it's fantastic. So absolutely fabulous for me to have you here. And my name is Heiko Visarius. I'll be talking you through this event the whole rest of the day. We're gonna start with a few keynote speeches or intro speeches and welcome addresses. Then we're going to continue with a keynote speech. I'll announce all of that later on in more detail. And then we come to the main actors today, which are the startups. So we have 7 regular pitches from very exciting medtech startups. All of them have a booth outside, a stand. So please also in the breaks at the apero, go see what they put up. Do me the favor and really look at this stuff because they made an effort to bring it here. I think you'll find this very exciting what they display. As you all know, we have tremendous challenges in healthcare, and innovation is certainly one way to address this. And that's what we're here for today. From a housekeeping standpoint, if you're bothered standing, there's a second room upstairs, which we're starting to fill now with the latecomers, if you want a seat. Other than that, I'll ask you to put your mobile phones off, or at least to silent, and put your brains on, because not for the intro speeches, but for the startups, you have also the opportunity to ask questions. Okay, so we'll have a Q&A section for all of the presentations. And then this will, in all good Swiss tradition, of course, be followed by an apero. Then you have the chance to network. I will give you some instructions about networking later on. Good. Yeah, we're in Bern. I'll explain this. Okay. So let's turn now to the key people who are behind this. I mean, bringing such prestigious organizations together doesn't happen just so. It happens because people have the vision of creating something based on the success stories that each of the players has written so far. Now we're combining that, we're uniting our strength. And the first person I want to ask on stage to give us some input about that, as you can see from the program, will be Professor Daniel Buser. Daniel has been for a long time living sort of next door in the next building, the dental clinic. He is a very famous professor in dental surgery. He's actually just come back from the United States, where he's still, after retirement, a sought-after speaker. He's also the main driver of many of the development sponsorings, etc. He's the president of the board of sitem-insel. He's also the president of the board of Kursaal Bern, the largest hotel and event location that we're having here in Bern. And he will also share his views now on how this all came together and what's so special about Bern. Please give a big hand to Daniel Buser.
Yeah, thank you, Heiko, for this very nice introduction. I cannot tell you how much I'm pleased that this meeting takes place. As you have heard, I'm an oral surgeon. I'm actually an implant specialist. I treat patients and put dental implants in their mouth when they are losing teeth. And with this professional background, I had more than 30 years of close collaboration with the MEDTECH industry, mainly in the dental field. The main player, of course, you all know this is Straumann, #1 on the world today. And therefore, I know a lot about what it means to have close collaboration between the scientific world and the industrial world. And when they are able to communicate, then the industrial world will produce products that are needed by patients, and then they will be successful. That's the key. Okay, now in my whole career, I always tried, I'm a team handball player, so I learned very early on that you achieve more when you team up with other people. And therefore, you see, my whole career was built on partnerships. We use today the term Schulterschluss mentality. Schulterschluss means shoulder by shoulder for the English-speaking people here. And I think this building here, sitem-insel, is a typical Schulterschluss project between the politics and the industrial side, and it is a private company, and therefore it was built in a record speed. This is not possible when public is building, then it takes much longer and it's much more expensive. So very successful PPP project. And I can tell you, in this room 4 years ago, it was March 20, 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, we had a meeting here, and it was actually initiated by the chairman of the board of Inselspital, Bernhard Pulver, and myself, that we said we have to do something for startups. Because we had nothing in Bern for startups. We had a sitem school to tell them how to be entrepreneurs, how to build up, how to do translational research, but we had nothing for startups. And then we said, let's give it a try. And when I look back now 4 years, we have a hub not far away. We have 15 startups, as you will see, some of them will pitch today. Of course, we have been able again in a Schulterschluss with lots of people to support that. We got Heiko. When we had a meeting there, you see, the Lutz Nolte told me, if you want to be successful, call Heiko. Now, you have to know, when I was doing the research together with Straumann, we also needed some biomechanics specialists, so we teamed up with the Maurice Müller Institute. That's where Lutz Nolte was working and was the boss, and he was there as well. So that's why I have known him already a long time ago, and we hired him also to be part of this, and the whole thing developed. So today is now the first time what I see a Schulterschluss between a very famous Business Angels Club from Zurich and the whole group here in Bern. So it's a Schulterschluss between Zurich and Bern. I think Switzerland should start to think like this, because this silo type of thinking, this has no future. We have to really team up. I think Switzerland is at stake. We need to be innovative, as we know. You see, that's why we spend a lot of money in education, completely different what the states are doing, and we are very successful with that, and we have to really support innovation. So, welcome, I'm very pleased, and I look forward to see all these pitches. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. Now we come to the second intro speech. It will be by the president and co-founder of SICTIC. For those of you who don't know that, it's a bit of a funny name, SICTIC, but it's a Swiss ICT investor club, and it is, as I said before, in my view, certainly the largest and also one of the most prestigious business angel clubs. So these are people mostly, and Thomas will explain that made money in the industry, often in the IT industry. And instead of just spending that money for fun, they take some of that money, turn around and give that back to a startup that needs the money to then again also develop, well knowing that they could also lose it all, depending on the performance of the startup. We will hear later on the good and bad tips and tricks on how to deal with it. But before we hear a little bit, what's SICTIC, what's it all about, welcome from Zurich, welcome from IT land, Thomas Dübendorfer.
Thank you. So, SICTIC, it's no longer called Swiss IC Investor Club. We just took the abbreviation, and now it's actually the new name. So we just call it SICTIC now. Now, we co-founded that in 2014. It's quite a while back. And we said we want to do it in a way that it's easy to connect to any player in the ecosystem, whether it's people from academia, from the government, startups, investors, even corporate investors. We wanted to be the platform and the community. And that was very important from day one. We wanted to make it as easy, accessible as possible for founders to find the right investors. And that's why we chose to be a not-for-profit association and another different kind of legal structure. Now, we became very quickly, within 3 years, the largest angel investor club in Switzerland. Others were around for 15, 20 years. They had around 80 to 150 members. And in our 4th year of operation, we already had way more than 200 people investing through us. By now, we are way above 400 members, and we do about 100 financing rounds every year in Switzerland in early stage tech. We're basically a little bit like the motor of what's happening in early stage investing, and it's also responsibility. So we also try to lead it by developing the ecosystem, by teaching people how to invest in the best possible way. A lot of people are capable to invest, but they do not invest because they don't feel comfortable investing. Now, if you bring them into the right community and you teach them how to do it and how to learn about startups, how to really help them, then chances that they actually are doing it is much higher. So for us, education of future investors, very important. Sometimes we even have to educate the founders because they don't know what it means to take venture capital and what happens after the first round. It will never be the last round if you're successful. It's just the very beginning of something exciting, and it's very fast-paced. Now, we have not just private investors and not just people from Switzerland. We also have about 5% of our investors from abroad. And we also work with institutional and professional investors, which means corporates or VC funds or family offices. For us, it's very important that they all work together because it's not either or. Often angels come first and in the early stages, but the next round most often is with an institutional corporate investor. So if they already know each other, much easier to scale up. And we make it free for startups. They just have to be good enough to earn it to be on stage. So it's a meritocracy. You cannot pay to pitch. You have to be good enough. And you get selected by people that know about investing. So our jury consists of our own investors and some field subject experts. And when you invest, all your money goes into the startups. So you don't need to give money to the club. Of course, you can if you want to. But basically, your money goes to the startups. And so how does this work? We built an ecosystem where we have the startups coming to us because of our investor base. Then, of course, we also have institutional investors, which I mentioned. Some of the names are here, like we have Swisscom investing through us, or PostFinance, or AXA, through Kantonalbank. Then funds like Founderful, they were known as Wingman before, Founderful, yeah, and Spicehouse, Qubit, B2B, and so on. Even Hightech Gründerfonds from Germany now does the deal scouting through us in Switzerland, which is, I think, a good label of quality. They've done that very successfully in Germany, and now they also want to do the same thing here. I'm going to see them mid of March at their event in Berlin. And we also have corporate partners that provide services to either founders of startups or to investors. And it's a very successful partnership because they can learn from each other, and it also can help drive innovation. And then we have lots of people that support us informally, like they give us the venue, they help us with connecting us to academic people that want to do a startup. And we just try to be the platform that connects the best things in the ecosystem and make it 10 times larger. So anybody who can contribute, we can just give it a boost. Because we have visibility at our size, and we know often the right people that can help you to be the missing puzzle piece in your puzzle that you're building, right? And I think that's quite important. Also, we connect to other angel clubs. For them, they're not competition to us. We want to facilitate them, do more with what they have, and give them better deal flow. And so it's really giving and taking at the same time. And we also do it internationally. We connect to European Business Angel Network and, of course, to other associations like SECA that deal about private equity in Switzerland. Now we have a report every year where we write about what we do. This report is even read abroad, especially in Silicon Valley and Germany and UK. I heard people that refer to it because it's one of the most comprehensive basically angel club insights that you can get. And we are also the #1 data source for the Swiss Venture Capital report, which is also highly visible to see what's happening also in later stage rounds and in general in the ecosystem in Switzerland. So you can download that all for free. Of course, our partners, they support us not just with their network, but also financially. So we're very glad that we have them. And you see how broad this stakeholder base is. So we have even a canton Vaud that supports us. So we have started actually not in Zurich alone. We have started at the same time in Lausanne and in Zurich. So we always had people on the ground, also in Romandie. And we also have people now in all the regions. So we have a lot of board members that connect us, a lot of ambassadors. And that's really important to us. So thanks to all our amazing partners that help us make it great. And yeah, you can of course do social media posts, so feel free to take pictures, blog about it. If you're on the online live stream, of course, feel free to share what you're doing. Maybe more people want to join, so the live stream is for free today. That's cool. Anybody can join in. And yeah, with that, I'm at the end of my little intro speech, and I really want to say thank you to all the partners, sitem-insel and Sitem Startup Club, and everybody who supported us to make this event a reality. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. Good. So, as already explained by Dani, Bern is, of course, special. And one reason why it's special is because a different function, the clinic, the academic institution, they all work hand in hand, very close together. Everybody knows each other. That's a huge advantage that we can also pass on to our startups here in the Bern area. For example, if you're at the MEDTECH startup in the Sitem Startup Hub, this is basically literally, as we always say, Pantoffeldistanz. So it's really 400 meters up the street and you're in the startup hub, which means that you know MEDTECH. MEDTECH happens when a med person meets a tech person. That's how MEDTECH happens, right? And in order to facilitate that, it's helpful when these people are rather close together. And that is one of the key elements that we have. If you look across the street, for many, many, many Swiss francs, we built just a new part of the Insel Hospital. And the other actor that's very important is, of course, the politics, the canton. And I think it's also a clear sign that we have today a person who studied in Zurich, but that's okay. Got his PhD from ETH. There's nothing wrong with that. And however, is the head of the economics department in Bern, head of the development agency of the Canton Bern since 2017, head of the Department of Economic, Amtsvorsteher, as we say it here. Please give a big hand to Sebastian. Matching colors, see? Blue, red. We thought about this.
You have the right color to talk to, that's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a true honor and pleasure to have you all here. Politicians and policymakers talk too much, have nothing to say on too many slides. So I tried to do it a little bit differently. I'm giving you just 3 ideas what this is all about, because everything else has already been brought to you. This is a place where family and friends and networking really does happen. Everybody quotes that internationally. And we are proud to make these distances between people and all the different stakeholders much, much shorter and much easier to talk to and to get results out of that. I have not only been at ETH Zurich, thank you for mentioning that. I had my private exit with a private company in 2010, and then I did a bold move. I became a public officer. So I'm a very bad serial entrepreneur. I became a public officer for one thing, to try to help and shape funding policies in Switzerland. And I've been doing so a couple of years on the national level, and now I'm giving it a boost at the Bernese level. And I can tell you and assure you, this is the biggest strength of what you can find in this country, is the easiness of making business, the easiness of getting access to people. Everybody knows everybody. This can be a big danger, by the way. You can't hide in that system here. But it is a true asset of Bern. So welcome also all our Zurich friends. Just a couple of minutes ago, I was talking on the radio about the difficulty of predictions. We would not have been able to predict the number of people joining this room and joining this event. This is a very, very, we're very grateful for what we see here and that you are here. But predictions, you know that as investors are always difficult about the future as well. So we are very much looking forward to the cases that we can see in a couple of minutes and close them up. And by the way, Daniel, Schulterschluss, I tried to Google the good English translation of Schulterschluss. Solidarity. This is a very bad translation. This is the official translation. So it's not about solidarity. It's not about sleaziness. It's not about copinage. It's not about corruption. Schulterschluss is partially about solidarity. Okay, done. But it's about closing the ranks. It's about standing together and getting things done together. And as you mentioned it perfectly, this building would not be here without a couple people standing together. Like I would not be here for a couple people standing together, but that's a different story. So again, have a very great evening. Thank you for being with us. By the way, ETH Zurich sends its best startups for coaching to Bern. And we're keen learning whether they send their best investors to Bern as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sebastian. Okay, now, of course, we also thought, what else can we bring in terms of information, etc., etc. And it didn't take us long to think, hey, why don't we take, when we have here the most important business angel club, can we also maybe get the most important VC of Switzerland here? And I'm very happy to say that we managed that, and the keynote will be presented by Daniel Dillinger from Red Alpine, also very close to their team. They do an outstanding job, as you will see soon. They look at thousands of cases every year, gigantic reach. Daniel is, as you can see, a medical doctor who decided to not pursue the career in medicine, but rather follow the path of innovation. And he is already since 7 years with Red Alpine. So in German we say he's an old rabbit in the field of investing. Several companies I have the honor to coach have been receiving funds from Red Alpine. And what I can say from my perspective is it's not only the money. It's the same as with SICTIC, it's also with Red Alpine. It's also everything else you get. The network, the people, the intros, that one mail to Straumann that makes all the difference for the startup in the dental area. That one mail to Johnson & Johnson that opens the door that could lead to something, even though we're bad. It takes forever with Johnson & Johnson. But nevertheless, these are all the important things that have to happen and are so helpful for the startup. So really happy to have you, Daniel Dillinger.
Thank you, Heiko, for this very, very kind introduction. Thank you, Thomas and team, for having me and for organizing this great event in such an exciting translational ecosystem here. It's my pleasure to discuss medtech investing in Switzerland and Europe and share my perspective as an early stage VC, our perspective as a VC firm here today, this afternoon. Just a few words about me. Already a lot has been said. I'm a principal at Red Alpine, background in medicine, joined Red Alpine 7 years ago, and since then my primary focus in investing has been medtech, health tech, and digital health. And for those who don't know Red Alpine, underlying what Heiko has already said with a few numbers here, we are a Zurich and Berlin-based early-stage venture capital firm around since 16 years, have just closed our 7th early-stage fund, 150 million, which we are now currently actively deploying across seed Series A startups in Europe. And we do this in mainly 3 sectors. We are a tech VC investing in software technologies. We have a life science practice focusing on biotech, life science tools, and we also focus, that's why I'm here, on health tech, medtech companies. Now, before we dive into why we believe at Red Alpine that medtech is an exciting field, I just want to quickly align on what is medtech, at least what is medtech for us, because I think if I would ask 50 people in this room, I would get probably 49 different answers. So medtech for us is the following. Medtech includes for Red Alpine medical devices which are regulated, which have a hardware component, and are somewhere positioned along the patient care pathway. Now, for Red Alpine, what's very, very important is that these devices are digitally connected, enabling a software case, a digital business model, or a data case. Now, moving on, why do we believe that medtech and medtech investing in Europe is exciting, and also why do we focus on Switzerland? Now, there are a few trends we believe that are already ongoing now and will be even more important in the upcoming years. And to address these trends, medical devices, medtech products will be needed to cope with those. First of all, I mean, that's not very, very surprising, but the demographics in Western Europe, we are all getting older. The demand for healthcare services and healthcare products in general is just increasing. While at the same time, we have already today in many countries, and also it starts to become a problem in Switzerland, we have a shortage of healthcare professionals. So we have a huge demand or an increasing demand and supply gap. And we believe that medical devices, connected devices, can certainly help to decrease this gap. As a consequence of aging population, healthcare costs are increasing, and cost-cutting pressure is rising as well. And this leads to a shift in standards of care. We are moving more and more away from in to outpatient care settings. And especially for those settings as well, we believe that medical devices, digitally connected solutions may solve or may support these settings. And then I think we have also, or we see a shift on the patient side. They have different expectations, I would say, than 30 years or 40 years ago. And expect now not only a patient experience, in many, many cases, it's also, let's say, they see themselves as customers and expect similar, let's say, a similar journey like they get when they buy an Apple product or Amazon product, for example. And here again, I think just, for example, wearables may help, to address these needs. Furthermore, medicine is becoming more and more specialized. The complexity of treatments is increasing. And this combined with the cost pressure in the systems, we see a centralization of healthcare. Now, in Switzerland, this might not be that a problem because we're a small country. You can reach probably within 60 or 120 minutes a GP or a healthcare provider. But in other regions of Europe, Nordics or even Germany, and then of course North America, how do you serve rural areas? And here again, we believe that medical devices, digitally connected tools may help and serve these people. And then lastly, we are currently seeing a huge paradigm shift going on in healthcare or in medicine in general. We are moving more and more away from the one-size-fits-all treatments towards personalized medicine. We're looking for the right treatment or the right drug for the right patient at the right time. And to do that, to really, really personalize medicine, you need data. You need to stratify patients. You need to monitor them more or less all around the clock to produce real-world evidence so that you can really tailor the treatments and the drugs. And for this shift, we believe medical devices are inevitable to and will help to or will support this shift. Now, all in all, at Red Alpine, we clearly believe that medical devices, medtech, or digitally connected hardware solutions will be important and key enablers to address these trends. Now, this is about medtech, and at Red Alpine we solely focus on Europe and Switzerland. Now the question is, why do we focus on these geographies? And the reason is pretty simple. It's summarized here. I think 7 out of 10 most innovative countries in Europe, in the world actually, are located in Europe. And Europe, Switzerland is an innovation powerhouse, particularly in medtech. Every 30 minutes, a medtech patent is filed. And we are now here to basically help the translation from groundbreaking basic research into commercially viable products. And that's where Red Alpine supports. And I'm super glad to be here and see this exciting building here where really science is translated into commercial products. And Red Alpine is obviously more than happy to help with that. Now, Red Alpine has a 150 million fund. We cannot fund all opportunities we see. So we need to apply certain evaluation criteria. And this is now the second part of my speech here. How do we do that? What are criteria? And how do we believe that we find the most interesting deals, medtech opportunities in Europe? Now, to do this, I want to start with a very generic slide, which summarizes on a very high level how we approach and how we evaluate let's say startups, and we believe that we have found here a formula that helps us to identify the winners. On one side, we look at internal factors like the team, like the value proposition and the business model. And then on the other side, obviously also external factors like the market, its structure, the competition and so on may or play an important role. Now, I just want to emphasize here that the team, also at our stage, seed Series A, makes up to 60% or even more of the final investment decision. What are the backgrounds of the founders? What are the skills? Are they complementary? How do they accept feedback? How do they react when facing adversity? Diving a bit deeper, when we look at a medtech case, we always look at the following 6 fundamental questions first. And we expect that not only us, that we can answer those questions, we also expect the founders, the founder teams have very razor sharp answers to those questions. And those 6 fundamental questions include, very simple, who is the beneficiary user actually of the product? What's his, her problem? Who is paying for it, for the device or for the product? Who is the decision maker? Who decides if the product is bought or not? Who is regulating it? And are the interests of these stakeholders aligned? They are rarely aligned. So in these cases then, we'd like to see an idea or a strategy how to nudge them into an alignment. And these are very generic questions, but I have to say, even at seed stage, many startup companies and many founders cannot give clear answers to those questions. And to the founders here in the room, I would highly suggest that you try to answer those questions before your next meeting with a VC. And then obviously the criteria below again are, let's say, speak for themselves. We look obviously for medical innovation, we look for outstanding teams, we look for a business model and an earning logic. Can this product create a commercially viable business in the end. We look at the defensibility. Is there IP around? Is there a freedom to operate? Does the company maybe infringe third-party patents? We'll want to understand the regulatory roadmap. What's the roadmap? What kind of device class is it? What's the timeline? What are the costs for bringing such a product on the market? And then lastly, I think, and that's the most important point, and I think where also MEDTECH investing differs the most from software investing. We always create already at seed stage kind of an equity story. We want to understand what are milestones based on which, on value inflection points, based on which then a next funding round can be raised, because in contrary to software, let's say fundraising and also exits are usually hugely milestone dependent. And to close, I just want to share a success story from our portfolio from Switzerland, and I'm glad to see that the company I'm presenting here is originating from CSCM, and I learned that CSCM is also partner of the SITEM here, so I didn't know that before, but I think that's quite a good choice. So Actia is a company which was built based on 20 years of research at CSCM. They are currently revolutionizing hypertension management and with their medical grade cuffless continuous blood pressure monitoring solution. They have just announced this week a 30 million funding round supported by Red Alpine together with Silicon Valley top tier VC Khosla Ventures. So that's really, really a nice, let's say, syndicate we could close here. And basically since our investment 5 years ago, this company has now managed to basically, bring their product to the market, certify it as a medical device. The company is now live commercially in 6 countries, but through CE mark, the company could sell the product in 44 countries. The company has built, through the support of investors and also, let's say, other translational agencies, the largest digital blood pressure data set with over 300 million data points to date. No one else on the planet has such data. And with that, I just want to highlight what happens if we basically translate the groundbreaking research we have here in Switzerland and basically fuel it with public support and then also with VC money. And I believe with that we can clearly say we have here the opportunity to build global leaders in MEDTECH out of Switzerland. And with that, I just have one request. Let's empower the next Swiss MEDTECH game changers together.
Thank you. So, all right. Now we saw a part of the challenges. We saw the mechanics on how SICTIC works, how the Red Alpine works. So now we want to see the innovators. Now we want to see the solutions. And the jury worked hard to put together a nice potpourri of startups, all active in the medtech field, some with more, some with less links into the IT world. Just so you understand that, the way we're going to do it is we follow the well-established format that SICTIC is using. That means that the main presenting startups, the first 7, they will have 8 minutes pitching time. A timer will be up. All startups have been clearly instructed to stay on time, otherwise we kick them out. And then we have 5 minutes Q&A. Now, very important, the Q&A, that's the part where you do the Q and they do the A. All right? So when they're done talking, I will say, and now questions from the audience. And then you don't look at your shoes, please. You raise your hand and you ask a smart question, all right? In order to do that, again, switch on your brain, listen carefully. I mean, we made it really easy for you. Daniel just presented to you a fantastic framework on how to approach basically any medtech startup. So if that doesn't help you, well, we can't do more than that, really. Okay, so that's the thing. 8 minutes Q&A. Also in SICTIC style, we go alphabetically. So the first presentation will be a company AI Endoscopic. Please welcome on stage CEO and founder Philipp Ganz.
So it's actually a great pleasure for me to kick off this series because actually I realized I'm the first MEDTECH pitch like in the SICTIC with this format. Yeah, you had to. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So my name is Philipp Ganz. I'm the CEO and co-founder of AI Endoscopic. At AI Endoscopic, we introduced artificial intelligence and robotics into endoscopy to make those complex procedures simpler, even aiming for autonomy. Our first application is airway management, more specifically tracheal intubation. This is when a clinician inserts an elastic tube via the mouth into the windpipe of the patient to assure the lungs ventilation. The big problem with that is that human anatomy has millions of years to evolve in a way that nothing solid should enter our respiratory system, which makes this process quite tricky. So you require a ton of training to actually become proficient. But looking into the extreme examples, for example, which we have in the US, a paramedic only has 5 trainings before he actually gets out in the field, even though 200 would be recommended. So at the place where it's happening, the expertise is missing, and therefore more than half of his attempts fail. So you can try over and over again, which can cause minor injuries, but the longer the patient doesn't breathe, the tissue doesn't get oxygen, and it starts to die, which can lead to permanent brain damage or even death. So 2017, a senior anesthesiologist from USAID had an idea, and he thought, how can we bring the expertise to the place where it's needed the most? And we came up with an idea which is called Larynguide. This product is actually nothing else than like the same device you already have, a laryngoscope, but we embed a software on top of that, which actually has the embedded experience from already like experienced clinician. What does it do? It uses computer vision, detects the surrounding anatomy, and then gives visual advice to the user how to maneuver the laryngoscope and place the tube, similar to your car, the camera at your car, to help you to squeeze actually like into a tight parking spot. At this stage, now you don't have animation, so I invite you afterwards to come to our booth where you can try it yourself. The question is now, does it work in humans? Yes, now we already have like our CE certified software, which we're going to test with Inselspital in the next quarter. IP, of course, MedTech always needs IP. Like you can see on the right-hand side from you, this is actually our previous IP with the developments. But as soon as we got approached by an industrial player, we actually patched and expanded the portfolio, which you see on the left-hand side, which is essential for our business case. Because first of all, we could manage to show actually superiority. For the certification, we needed to show at least non-inferiority, but in the trials, we accidentally showed actually that our software is way better and outperforms significantly the state of care. And to just highlight how significant this is, on the left-hand side with the reference, you can see the last innovative steps from direct laryngoscopy to video laryngoscopy, which is now the state of care. And on the right-hand side, you can see our trials, which is the video laryngoscope, to our video laryngoscope with the guidance. This is huge because the first innovation pushed up like a $500 million market, which is growing with a rapid speed of 15% compound annual growth rate. And there's like a lot of movement in there, and this is the wave we want to tackle. Looking to this a little bit deeper, here are some companies listed which we're in contact with, but we also need to select a bit, to be fair. First of all, we need a certain size. We cannot make with a small company 10 different versions. And second of all, also the device price needs to have a certain amount because it also requires a hardware update, otherwise it's not economic. So we have like a target field. But it's not only those two companies, because currently there's a big move, because you saw that there's a small gap in the quality segment where it's Strauss and Marathon go really high quality, quite expensive, and you have the cheap companies coming on the other side, but there's this gap in between where we are also in contact with some movers which are quite hungry actually to undermine those giants. Go to market. So the story of our company, it started 21, where we already tried to make like a robotic solution. Afterwards, by the end of 22, we got approached by a big industrial player. We switched to the software. So we did all those steps, we CE certified. Next quarter, we start with the first demand trials, and we're in negotiation with one of the global partners. Afterwards, next year, we sell the first trainer system and push it like to the market, where in 26 we can create already revenue with the licensing. Because licensing will be our business model, where now we have like a classic retail, but giving this additional software, you can not only increase the price, but for our case, then also split the difference. So actually both partners have like a classic win-win situation. What kind of royalties are we talking about? It's about 5 to 7%, and the business case already flies quite well. Regulatory, I keep it quite simple. We're a class 1. We are even certified it already. FDA, it's a little bit a different approach because you need to have the software already integrated into the device, and then you can push it with a 510K exempt. The team, we have quite a technological background, which you can see from our founder team, but we expanded not only when you see at the board members with the investors who also come from the field, distribution or manufacturing, one also specifically video laryngoscopes, but we also built now a strong foundation with coaches and clinical advisors where we have strong key opinion leaders pushing to our solution. Looking for the traction, when we see the clinicians, we ask them how much would you actually pay for such a device. They come up with twice. Okay, we need to take it with a grain of salt that the clinician, it's not the purchasing department. But here we see already like the value they see in such a software. Next thing, we're now getting pushed. We even get invited as non-academics to the fairs from the specialties to present our product because they see us as the next big thing. Also, therefore, we initiated the first pilot. But the biggest traction point is we're in negotiations, have 2 letters of intent, and one of them we're allowed to mention, which is Karl Storz, and this is one of the global players who can make the business fly. Also important, Storz, which we talk about, also has different endoscopes, which I come a little bit later to it. The roadmap, to keep it short, it's MEDTECH, so you have several points to do. Really brief, first we focus on our clinical version, which is already on track. Second, we built an independent foot, which we do with a trainer system. It's way easier, you don't need regulatory requirements. And in the end, we use the platform to scale our technology into another endoscope to also make this case bigger. In the end, financing, so what we are looking for now is actually we make a bridge, because now we have no finances yet, but by the end of mid-year, we signed a partnership agreement where we can already start to get some revenues in. And in the end, the goal will be that what we do is we can scale the technology, especially in such cases, for example with Storz, where a smart integration in their system can lead to an easy exit afterwards. With that, I hope I gave you a good introduction to AI endoscopic and kicked off the MEDTECH event. Looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
There's a question in the back. Thank
tight,
you.
it's tight.
Please wait until you have the microphone so the people who are on the online stream, and I forgot to mention that, there's not only a huge turnout here, but we also have more than 100 or 150 people following. Hello, following us online. All right, so a lot of them are following us in the stream. So hopefully next time they will also be here. Questions, please.
Yes, hello, thanks. I do the icebreaker. I have a question in 2 parts. First is, do you have any plans to use a different sales approach? I mean, I would probably use case by case, something like renting out, including services, building a service model around? Are there any plans to do that way? And the second question is, how about other fields in medicine? I mean, there are so many instruments where you have to enter a body, a human body, or even animal bodies. How about these fields where you could use at least the software parts of your technology? Thanks.
Really good point. So first of all, like the main market, when we look at the clinical application, we need a hardware partner actually to provide the hardware and then their distribution channels. So it's a little bit up to them. Our goal is to also provide their regular updates to create like proper recurring revenue. Looking into other software approaches, so this is in the going. What we try to do is also we developed a web page. We already have some trial pages up with the idea that you upload a video and we can analyze it and give it like the feedback back. Looking at other companies, for example, AirTrack does it already, but they still require like clinicians. So we're looking into that, but our main market still requires the hardware and actually go like into their distribution channels. To the second question, look where you ask other applications, sure, this is what we target, but here we already defined like some applications internally which we want to tackle, talk also with other industries, but looking into veterinary medicine, here important, FDA, this is still in MEDTECH, but in Europe there are two different regulatory bodies, and we never really looked into this market, especially with the size though.
Next question, Beat.
For your insights, what would be single-use part and what would be your reusable, and would it be changing for all the other indications?
Really good question. So single-use parts, when you look at the players, you often have a monitor which is reused, even though you have single-use parts where you throw away the whole plate, which we have here, like for example a FlexiCare model, or you only have like a disposable part which you change, but the monitor, for example, the pocket monitor, you put on each application the same, meaning hardware is reusable, but the software, like therefore as well, where you don't need to change it at all. Also, what you can see with the market trends is Verathon, now we go a little bit hard in details, is a disposable part which are really strong in there, and Storz is more in the reusable section, and you see market trends, especially in Europe, pushing more towards the reusable because of economic reasons.
Yes, one more question there in the middle. Yeah. Just throw the microphone.
Thank you very much for a nice presentation. It's more of a technical question. So how do you give guidance to the user? Is it a verbal guidance, or is it what's the method to guide the user?
In this case, it's purely visual. So what you can see here are how the instructions work, but happily invite you to also come to our booth afterwards and try it yourself. We also thought about acoustic guidance, but the feedback we received was that in the OR or in emergency situations it's already loud enough and everything's beeping, so we discarded it quite quickly.
Thank you.
Matthias.
You're very strongly dependent on a hardware partner and you will integrate with them very closely. So what's your strategy right now to avoid getting stuck with one partner and maybe also entering into delays if things don't progress as you anticipate?
Really good questions. We learned this already. We run already in some delays, and the approach is quite easy. Talk to more of them. So you can also have a leverage, where especially when you look at this slide, we have the maintainers, which are in this high price segment up there. But we also are in contact, especially with other partners who run now into this section, and they're way quicker moving. So there we see like the big opportunity. Also, other companies there, they have other portfolios, but this is quite early stage. They want that we implement the software in other indications. But there we're early. The case we're through, and we're like sure about it, is the video laryngoscopy, where we see now our moves.
Thank you very much, Philipp. Kannst du noch vor zum Ende? And as it so goes with all the startups that you'll see, they have a booth out there, and as Philip has said, you can test it. Now there's one specialty with AI endoscopic, and you always have to come to the booth with 2 people. Because you need one for the laryngoscope and another one, you know, to be the trial patient. So you can figure this out, who you want to go with, right?
Yeah, we cannot the human model. No.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. So we come to startup number 2. I mean, as this has been one of the mostly done surgical or medical procedures, now comes another very regular problem, that is infections. How do we deal with infections in the hospital? I'm very happy that we have here one of the innovative players in this field. Please give a big hand to Asep Tuber and Henry Twernbolt.
Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. My name is Henry, co-founder of the MEDTECH startup SICTIC from Switzerland and the UK. And together with my team, sorry, I have to switch that. Yes, exactly. With my team, we developed a disinfection technology based on UV light to combat lethal hospital infections. In this way, we will be able to save thousands of lives and billions of healthcare costs each year. Well, to turn this big vision into reality, we have to start somewhere. Therefore, we focus first on this device here, the central venous catheter, short CVC. It is a device that is inserted into the chest to facilitate transfusions to the veins. Unfortunately, there is one big issue. Bacteria can accumulate around the insertion site, and then due to patient movement, it can enter the body and cause infections. The infection rates varies from hospital to hospital and as well from country to country between 3 to 20%. But because, of course, there is a longer hospital stay, the costs are more than 28,000 Swiss francs. And it is surprising that in the last 2 decades, there was no big innovation that completely prevented this. And that, dear audience, is exactly the moment where Asep Tuber comes into place. Different to conventional UVC disinfection technologies of 254 nanometer wavelength, we develop a device that uses 220 nanometer. With this wavelength, it enables us to kill bacteria, but on the other side, it is safe to human tissues. So we can really illuminate the skin of a patient without the risk of causing cancer in the long run. Our product is visualized here in white. It is an adapter that is fixed by the doctor around the catheter at the insertion site. In addition, there are specific optical fibers that are incorporated, and these optical fibers, they guide from a light source which is attached at the bed, the UVC rays to the adapter, and there it illuminates the infection-prone skin to disinfect it completely. Regarding the market, our 2 target markets, US and Europe, there are 8 million units of central venous catheters inserted annually, whereas 250,000 infections occur. It is equivalent to a market revenue of around 2.4 billion Swiss francs, and on top of that, the annual growth rate is higher than 6%. Having, of course, such an innovation is nothing without customers, and I can tell you already now that we have letters of intent from hospitals in Switzerland and abroad, and they told us that they would like to apply the product at market entry. On the right, you can see 2 of our key opinion leaders, Dr. Hans Parker, the former head of the ICU from Basel, and as well Dr. Hugo Sachs, the former head of infection control at the University of Zurich. Besides these hospitals, we also collaborate in Switzerland with the Inselspital Bern, so over the street. We have here usability studies together with the ICU research head, and there doctors and nurses gave us feedback about our prototypes, how we can improve them, and out of these inputs, we incorporated that in our final product. Furthermore, we also get supported via Horizon 2020 grants. We have 2 grants, one with a university in Brussels, they helped us with the optical simulations, and another one with Philips, and they are supporting us in professionalizing the overall manufacturing process and also to accelerate the going to market pathway. We have a direct B2B business model with hospitals by selling 2 products to its procurement divisions. First product is an adapter, as the adapter that we built. Here we have a sales margin of around 60%. In addition, we also resell a UVC light source from a supplier that will stay in place for 3 to 5 years at the bed. Regarding the product development, we achieve a market entry already in 2026, and also 1 year later, the break-even will be feasible. That this is feasible, we are right now in the process to finalize in the R&D stage our product. Afterwards, we manufacture it with different partners. One of them is mentioned, Philips. And from 2025 onwards, we want to sign procurement contracts with hospitals. What is also possible in the future, in the long run, that we can license out our technology to different large medtech companies, because they can also then apply the technology for their catheters or tubes. With discussions, of course, different regulatory affairs partners, it is clear that we first go for the US market. We apply right now for the so-called breakthrough device designation from FDA. In this way, we can also accelerate then the regulatory process. We launched recently the animal studies at University of Zurich, which will be continued by clinical studies in the US and in the UK in the next 2 years. The most important part, I guess, from a startup is, of course, the team. And I'm lucky to say that we are 7 team members with a diverse and complementing skill set. My 2 co-founders, Raphael and Ishan, have a PhD in biomechanics and physics. And of course, they're looking for more the technical points in our startup. And I'm responsible for the business development and fundraising tasks. It is also our goal to enlarge the team with 3 new team members by the end of this year. On this slide, on this roadmap slide, I would like to highlight 2 points. First, we are in the process to close the seed round of 2.5 million in the next quarter. And with this amount, we achieve, as I said before, the US market entry in 2 years before the next Series A round. So it's a major value inflection point that we would achieve afterwards. And of course, our technology has, to be honest, no limits, because whenever you have a catheter, an implant, or a tube, there is a certain kind of risk. So, for example, one example that I show you here is Neuralink, the implant that Elon Musk is developing. Also there are certain kind of infection risk. So what is possible that we can sell our product, or that there might be at some point even a collaboration with them. And of course, there are a couple of other such medtech companies. And on top of that, as you might also know, there is this huge disease or huge problem with AMR, like the antimicrobial resistance, which might cause by 2050 10 million deaths annually. And also with our technology, we can reduce the burden of this problem. When it comes to fundraising, I said it before, we are looking for a seed round of 2.5 million. We already have from our existing shareholders follow-up investments, Value Maker and 41, including medtech expert Ernst Tomke, and as well Fabian Unterrecker, who is here in the audience. And right now we have 600K committed. That means 1.9 million are open. We are in discussions, negotiations with different potential investors. And of course, we would be delighted that you also can join this discussion and help us to realize the solution against hospital infections. Thank you for the attention.
All right, before I ask for the questions, just a quick reminder. Of course, the idea is in an investor club that investments take place. We understand that you may want to talk to the company before you invest in the company. For that, we make it real easy for you and make this QR code. So with this QR code, you can go to the sheet where you can indicate your interest, and then the good people from SICTIC will take care that you get connected to the right people. Good. Yes, now Q&A. For Henry.
Over there.
First, gotta wait until you get the microphone, because we have quite an audience online. They also need to hear the question.
Yes, thanks. Cool stuff. How do you protect yourself from copycats?
Really good question. So our first patent was filed in May 2021, and there we covered all these different applications that I already mentioned. That's for different kinds of catheters. So what we protect is really how like the adapter is built and how it works eventually with the illumination. So this is the first patent, and now we're in the process to file 2 new ones, and this is the way how to protect eventually our technology from copycats exactly. Yes, they are global patents, so it's a PCT application, and after 30 months, which was last November, we entered the national phase, so the protection will be for the US, for Europe, Japan, and for China. Thank you.
Yes, another question?
Thank you very much for a nice presentation.
Thank you.
You already mentioned that your technology can also be used just for wounds, for healing wounds, as you said. But up to now, you were a little bit confined to hospitals because of this UV source, which you fixed to a bed. Do you see a possibility in near or more remote future for home care, for example, like someone wearing the device and taking care of wounds at home or something like that?
Yes, this is a really good question. Thanks a lot. You have to know, I mentioned it before, the solution is with this wavelength of 220 nanometers or below. And right now, it is possible with lasers to develop this kind of wavelength. Before it was not possible. And when it comes to, for example, at home care, it would be easier to have, for example, an adapter with integrated LEDs. By the way, we also covered that in our patents. But to have that, but LEDs right now cannot go that below. That also, like the energy level is not high enough. So this is maybe in the future, as you mentioned it. It's also a topic that we can cover. But I think it's always important that we have to have a clear focus on one product. So we want to go fast to the market in these 2 years, and then afterwards we can broaden or enlarge a bit the spectrum.
Thank you.
Thanks.
One more question there, and one here.
You mentioned the sales strategy to go directly to the hospital. How can you elaborate a little bit more about this strategy in the future? Being able to place a consumable like this is a challenge against the competition, and will require a certain strategy to do that.
Absolutely. Due to time concerns, I didn't show it in detail on the slides. You're absolutely right, especially when it comes to the US market. All the hospitals have different kinds of strategies, and there comes as well the reimbursement situation. I mentioned we go for the breakthrough device designation, and there is a certain kind, when I go to details, it's called NTAP. So we get maybe the code for as a reimbursement code to have faster market access to hospitals. And this is one way to go with this reimbursement code. The other way would be that, of course, with our data, with our clinical data, we show this to these hospitals. We are now in discussions with hospitals in Boston, where we can also conduct these clinical studies. And when they see the proof that it works, it is like evidence-based marketing, that they will apply the product and tell it to the procurement division that they have to apply, that they have to purchase our product.
Well, yeah, tying in there regarding the payer side, have you got a plan regarding covering the US, because we know there's breakthrough. All this looks from the regulatory side, market approval looks good, but then the payer side and the market access is something different. Have you thought in detail how you would cover that?
As you mean now,
going beyond what you have said, yeah, because there may be an opportunity through the breakthrough.
Yes.
But that requires some detailed development activities.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, we are in the process to apply for that, and in this way we can accelerate this. When it comes to the payers, besides the, of course, hospitals that would get reimbursed because they then have lower costs due to our product. This is one side. The other thing is, of course, with the insurance companies, that they give them pay back the money. I must admit, with insurances we didn't talk too much yet. but it's always, when we have the discussions, it's better first to go to hospitals, and they can then convince the procurement divisions, and then afterwards we have the discussions with the insurances. It's planned for this year, especially for the US market, because we go there.
Thank you very much, Henry.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you. Of course, when we set this up and Dani has given you the history of that, we were always dreaming, yeah, of course we start in Bern, but then maybe we get a startup from Ostermundigen or Muri or Thun. Or maybe from Zurich one fine day. But of course, in our wildest dreams, we didn't think that we would quickly come to an international reach. And what a reach it became. And I mean, I'm very happy to now present to you a startup that comes from Europe's finest institutions and that made the choice to come to Bern. Please welcome with a big applause James Wood and the team from Cambridge Vision Technology.
Thank you. As Heiko said, my name's James, and along with Milad and Andrew, hands up. Andrew, you in here? No, didn't make that. We are the founders at Cambridge Vision Technology. We are looking at an early and accurate system for detecting Alzheimer's. So we all know Alzheimer's is a huge problem. The media are processing quite a lot at the moment. The reason is that we have a lot of people reaching the age of Alzheimer's. So it's driven by this baby boomer generation. We have patients waiting a year to see a first clinician, and then a further 2 years before they get an MRI or a PET scan. In the United States, 22 states were labeled neurology deserts, where 55% of patients went undiagnosed. However, 2 pieces of good news. We have some Swiss help with a new drug. This drug is preventative, not restorative. So early detection is key. There's also been this really intriguing development that the eye, in fact the retina, is part of the brain. And so now is the first time in history we are able to image the brain directly in situ. This has led to a gold rush in neurological research through the eye. So the race is on for a company to make early detection of Alzheimer's available at scale so these drugs can be deployed. Our solution takes the very latest ocular biomarker research and combines it with our proprietary hardware and machine learning. We are measuring established retinal biomarkers and packaging that as actionable information for clinicians. Our automated device takes the patient through imaging both eyes, and then the machine learning algorithm runs and packages that as a summary of the different biomarkers that are measured and an overall risk score. The Alzheimer's diagnostic market is growing about 9% every year. It's due to hit 6.2 billion in 2030, and the market that we're looking at, which is North America and the EU, is 4.6 billion. Sort of ground-up approach, little case study. In the UK, we have 222 memory clinics, each of which sees 576 people every year. About 85% of those are scanned. And that translates to revenues for us of around 21 million in year 5. If you then scale that back up to the rest of the world and do the analysis on each country, you get to revenues of 264 million. We have a few competitors. It's a very exciting area, but I'm going to leave this to the questions at the end if anyone's interested. So our technology, why is it better? Our retinal technology measures at 500 times the resolution that MRI or PET can achieve. So we can achieve much finer detailed extraction than any other technology. The second reason is that our hardware measures orthogonal biomarkers, so independent orthogonal biomarkers. This results in, for our customers, a reduction in the clinical interface time, which is the most time-consuming part of the dementia pathway. Additionally, this orthogonal biomarker allows subtyping, which is key for treatment because they have different treatments. And then the information provided negates the need for expensive MRIs and PET scans or neurological consultations, so there are cost savings down the pathway too. Our customers, when we talk to them, they are keen for this to be deployed in clinic as a diagnostic device, here to reduce that time with the clinician. But actually, surprisingly, they're super excited about using this pre-clinic as a screening device. Here, they are keen on the fact that it could reduce the number of patients they see dramatically, and they all have long waiting lists. We see this long-term delivered as a regular health checkup, a simple regular health checkup that can be taken every year and is available in pharmacies or opticians. Similar to other testing devices, we offer a pay-per-test model, but because of our low hardware cost, we can offer the actual device at a very competitive price. We're looking at 193 francs for a test, and that comes under these 2 US cost codes for insurance. I'm going to move over regulatory. We've got to have a plan with the SSC who helped us set up, and we're running through with our university partner, which is the University of Bradford. Again, ask at the end if you want details on the regulatory approval. We have an incredibly strong team. On the founder side, Milad is a world expert in neuroimaging. His PhD was from Johns Hopkins. Andrew, his PhD is from Cambridge. He's an incredible electromechanical engineer. And I've worked with healthcare data for 20 years. I have my own healthcare company working with the NHS. On the advisor side, which is actually really where all the really exciting stuff happens, we have clinical advisors who work with patients on a daily basis, so they know the pathology of Alzheimer's. And we also have the advisors who invented these biomarkers, essentially, on our team. So traction so far, we formed the company in March last year, so 11 months ago, and in that time we have created our own hardware device. We have created our own machine learning algorithms capable of measuring Alzheimer's. We were allowed into the SITEM Startup Club, and in that time we've also filed our first patent. We have 4 further patents being filed in the next 6 months. We have this long-term partnership with Bradford University, which is the only ADI accredited university, the first one in Europe. We made Confinitive's 21 to Watch in 2024. We were selected for Innovate UK's EDGE program, which is their fast-paced, high-potential startup program. And in December, we managed to get a contract with the UK government for 830,000 Swiss francs to deploy this. Roadmap, I won't go into too much detail, but we're looking at a launch of 2026. Again, ask at the end in the questions if you really want to know all the details. Financing, we're looking at 1.3 million raise, and with the help of InnoSwiss and Innovate UK, who are matching, that takes us to 2.3 million. This is to serve this 264 million global market. This is our first pitch event for money. But we did have a private word with the University of Cambridge a few weeks ago, and as of last week, they are coming on board as our first investor and putting a significant investment in. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the future of this technology because it is super exciting and has lots of applications. The first thing is that there are 40 other diseases that can show signs in the retina. So if you take into account the fact that this might be applied to those diseases, the revenues I've shown you could be 4, 5 times. And the second thing that's super exciting is that Alzheimer's has been shown to have signs in the eye 7 years before anything we see, cognitive impairment, anything. And we spend 1% of GDP looking after people with Alzheimer's, so governments are incredibly incentivized to do something about this problem. If this is used as a screening device, an active screening device for the whole country, similar to breast scanning, the revenues I've shown you, you can multiply by a factor of 10. So that's us. Please come to our booth. We have our device here. We'll be taking scans if anyone is interested. No medical results, obviously, but yeah, please drop by. Thank you.
Move one more forward to the QR code.
Oh, there you go.
All right, questions to James? Yes.
Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation and really exciting technology. I've got 2 questions. The first one, from what age on would you recommend these scans or your medical partners? This would be the first one. And the second one, your technology is revolutionary, that's clear, but you need data to train your algorithms. Where do the data come from?
So there are existing data sets out there, and then we have this partnership with Bradford University. So we're going through a data collection with them, with a lot of patients. But actually, I'm going to ask Milad to answer this question, because this is sort of his area.
Yeah. Thank you, James. Yes, so data sets, there has been, Alzheimer's is not a new thing, right? Everyone knows about it. In fact, 1 in 5 people in this room probably at some point in their lifetime is going to develop Alzheimer's disease. It's really mind-boggling, right? So for the past 30 years, a lot of governments, US, UK, and countries in EU have been collecting longitudinal data from patients. And these data sets are available. Now, we do need to collect new data sets with our own machine, with our own devices, because there's a lot of variability. So all the results that we have right now are very preliminary in terms of actual diagnosis. And I don't really like to use the term diagnosis, right? It's really providing a risk factor for developing Alzheimer's. The key here really is to identify patients that are at very high risk for developing the disease, identifying them, passing them down the pipeline where they can get gold standard diagnosis done, and then they become eligible for the emerging drugs that are in the market today. And really, there's really no scalable solution right now available. Sorry.
You're targeting a screening market where you will scan millions of patients ultimately, and where each positive indicator or diagnosis triggers basically follow-up exams and expensive treatments in the end. So what you want to do is you want to avoid the false positives. Can you comment on the potential there, on how you evaluate that during your development process?
Yeah, so that's one of the most fundamental challenges, right? As a clinician, clinicians always ask, okay, is your test accurate? And also, what's your predictive positive value, right? Like, what is actual, whether this is an actual, being FDA approved doesn't mean much to them, right? They want this to help them at the end of the day. And that's something that we are working on, getting data. Again, as James said, this is a very new company. We have very exciting progress, but that needs to come out of doing actual clinical work that we're planning for the next few years. And that's part of what we're fundraising for, to do that kind of efficacy studies and actually validate how much we can improve the false positive rate.
Okay, question there?
How does the measurement workflow look like? I mean, essentially, how much time is needed to get started, set it up, doing the measurement until you have the answer you're looking for?
Hello? Oh, yeah, sorry. It's the actual measurement. You can come by and take a retinal scan, right? So we're scanning the back of your eye, very similar to what you would get at an optometrist. And then you also take your regular cognitive tests, and the 2 plus some other risk factors such as age, gender, demographic indicators go into the algorithm to make the decision about the disease. So overall, the decision making is quite fast. The other thing I wanted to add is, in terms of screening, one of the key points is that there's studies that show, and this is a macroeconomic study, if you have a test that's 80% accurate, but you do this screening every 2 years from age 50, that was the other answer for you. Over the lifetime of the patient, you can actually detect over 96% of patients before they get to the point where they have complete loss of their cellular function. So that's why screening is also attractive, because you're really doing this longitudinally. It also goes to our kind of long-term vision, right? If 10 years ago I stood here and I told you AI is going to be in a lot of machines that are coming out, everyone would laugh me out of the room. But the reality is, what we want to do is we want to actually track people's health longitudinally. My watch knows more about my health than my cardiologist or my primary doctor, right? And we want to do that. We want to get these data sets built up and over time make those decisions more intelligently.
Great. Thank you very much. Cambridge Vision Technology. Didn't we just have that pitch? Help. Forward. Forward, forward, forward. Okay, looks like we have this pitch twice. Sorry about that. Doing my best here. Okay, good. Huh? I'm doing nothing. Somebody please figure this out for me. Good. Okay. So you heard before that. Yeah, that's good. Good. Yeah. Yep. Stop here. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Thank you. You heard before from Dani that he spent most of his day as a dental surgeon implanting implants. And where do you think he implants these implants? These implants are anchored in the bone of your jaw, obviously. And Dani can tell you all about it. That is not so trivial because most of you, by the way you live, you don't have the best bone in your jaw. So it's not so easy. Best thing you can do, brush your teeth. Don't lose them. Don't become a customer of Dani. That's really the best you can do. Now, if you're there, at least you want a good implant, particularly want a skilled surgeon, but you also maybe want a technology that aids and helps the surgeon to place this implant at the most optimal spot. And that's exactly what we're hearing about. Give a hand to Nikolaus Gasser from Implants.
Hi everyone, it's an honor for me to be here today and present implants in front of all of you. With implants, we're developing a technology that gives more information to surgeons before actual implantologies. And I'm not only talking about dental implants, but shoulder implants or hip implants or even knee implants. In Europe, there are 6 million dental implants placed every year. And whereas the dental implant itself is highly developed, the technology on how to place the implant is lagging behind quite a bit. So with implants, we're trying to change that. Think back 20 years. When you needed to plan a road trip, you just looked at a physical map, giving you absolutely no information about roadblocks or traffic jams. Today, we have Google Maps giving us all the information we need. Dentists have a similar problem. As you can see on the X-ray, a picture like that is pretty hard to interpret. And real information about the surgery, you only get them during the surgery when it's usually already too late. So these implantations often are really time intensive and overly conservative, leading to a pretty bad patient journey if you're not super experienced or have a good gut feeling. With implants, we're taking the guesswork out of this process. With our additional information before the surgery actually starts, we're enabling easier planning, an easier interpretation of the image itself, more non-invasive surgeries, and a higher quality overall. That leads for you as a potential patient to an easier process, a faster process, and a faster time to complete healing. Experienced dentists and revolutionary dentists like Professor Daniel Buser see the great potential to simplify the decision process during treatment planning and hence to increase the efficiency and safety of implant surgery. Let's talk about what makes us unique. During the X-ray image, the patient takes a calibration plate into his mouth. That allows us to transform the bone quality of the patient into a digital twin. In that digital twin, we're able to simulate a surgery and give values, for example, like the implant stability to the dentist. As you can see, the tests we made are really promising for our software's accuracy, and the technology is patentable. Coming to market potential, we have a total addressable market of 2 billion, growing with 5% a year. And to give you a good example, in Zurich, for example, there are 500 dentists. If only 2 out of these 500 dentists that actually do implantations use implants, we can reach a market share of 0.4%. That's really promising to be able to attain with our interviews and LOIs that we have today. And scaling it up to Europe and US gives us a yearly revenue of about 5 million. Coming to the business model, Implants uses a B2B licensing model where we license our technology to already existing planning software provider, which then provides it to the dentist, following to the patient. The partner has a big advantage for implementing implants in the planning software, just because the information that we provide has been never seen before on the market and allows for easier customer acquisition and also retention. So our business model is a classical win-win situation. We'll start out with direct sales in Switzerland 2027, adding the help of our partners to reach Europe and the US with their already existing distribution networks. And speaking about exit partners, big implantation firms are really interested in our technology because of an additional reason, and that's because, as you can see, these implants are pretty similar by now, and it's common in the industry to acquire young firms that provide additional value to the implant itself. For example, when Straumann bought GalvoSurge just last year. The technology has a potential to be patented and is not infringing with previous patents. The technology actually belongs to the university and will be licensed to our spin-off exclusively as soon as we found. In talks with regulatory experts, we found a strategy that we want to pursue. First, we just want to go to the market quick, actually, and therefore we choose a Class 1 medical device, only providing very limited information, but allowing us to have early revenues. Later on, we're thinking about a Class 2B medical device, allowing really valuable suggestions, just by amping up the quality of our software again. In the US, with the FDA, we're probably going to file a 510K, which would be allowed if there were similar technologies, which is probably the case, but we need the first software product actually for that, just to get the classification there. State-of-the-art care today gives you the information, but only too late. So during the surgery, and quality is pretty low. Then a Polish startup with their product SIM-Density can provide value for the quality of the patient's bone, but nothing more. And expert opinions are super valuable, but really hard to get and very costly. So implants is the first way to attain implant stability with the specific patient's bone quality, and all of that before the surgery actually begins. Over the last 4 years, we made over 10 innovation projects with the university, and industry partners are paying good money for that. And we're confident that as soon as we spin off, the university will be able to keep some of those projects, giving us instant revenue, even without any regulatory approval. We've been working on the MVP since 2023, of course with close iteration with our potential customers, and the business plan was supported by many programs and competitions, as you can see. Our team is our CEO, Patrick Willi. He stands right there. He's a biomedical engineer and is responsible for the research. I'm for finances, and Jonas Peter is an experienced software developer with our experts from dentistry, science, experienced entrepreneurs, and medtech industry experts. We are implants. Coming to a quick financial outlook, right now we're looking for 600,000 Swiss francs. Next year for additional 800,000, primarily for product development and regulatory approval in the EU, to enable market entry in Switzerland 2027, giving us the first revenues with our core business, the software for dentists. Additional market launches in the EU and US will lead us to break even by 2031. I hope you learned something today, and we would be honored to change dental implantology with you together, and we're really, really curious about your questions. Thank you.
weiter zum QR-Code. Good. Oh, no. Oh. Where's the QR code?
Yeah, I've got a few backup slides.
That's always good to have.
Jump through.
Questions? Yes. The two of you.
Here we go.
Yes, thanks. To what I've learned a lot. To what I feel worse than at the beginning of the evening. My impression is that I have 99% of all the diseases all the startups are presenting. I mean, your problem starts, or the problem you're solving or helping to solve starts some 20 years, 30 years before you have to do these kind of surgeries, right? And to what extent couldn't be extended the focus, the scope, so to say, the health of the jaw bones itself as an important part of the entire system, so to say. A broader scope for diagnosis earlier.
I'll give that question actually to Patrick. He's the wizard.
I don't know if I really understand your questions correctly, but we can't change the bone quality. We just can't measure it and how stable it is and what would be the stability which could be reached at this bone quality you have already. So we can't change it beforehand. So this is up to you. If you're a smoker or not, this also have an impact on it. So I think this question goes beyond what we can do when I understand it correctly.
Beat?
What is your IP status and what is your IP status beyond dental applications?
So up to now we don't have a patent. We're currently protecting our technology just by keeping it secret actually. There have been a lot of papers published about the topic and we're currently still working on the patent strategy actually.
So you haven't filed anything?
No, we haven't filed a patent yet.
Thank you.
Yes, question here. Somebody from the dental industry.
Sorry for making you run. So hi, Nicolas from Roman from Straumann here. Thank you for. Oh, Jesus Christ! Maybe I'm too close to this concourse here. Okay, maybe I can just give you the question like this. Actually, thinking a little bit in the direction that probably Beat was thinking. Have you ever considered? I mean, obviously your model is for the head, or at least for the jawbone. So, in your perspective, could it also be used for other applications than dental implant stability?
Yes, actually it is. We're thinking about, for example, shoulder implants, just to give you an example, could be an hip implant too. The difficulty with that is that when you think about a tooth, there's basically pressure from one direction. With a shoulder implant, that, yeah, kind of rips all over the place, so it makes it way harder to calculate. And additionally, it's harder to get regulatory approval with these big kind of implants.
Jörg.
Yeah. Thank you. A question I've asked before, and you follow the classical model. First, we conquer Europe and the US, and in my eyes, this calls for maybe a reversal of the model, to think more about the US instead of getting into the issues in Europe, even if you have this two-stage approach that you have chosen with 1 and class 2. Have you thought about that, about reversing it?
Yes, we actually thought about it, and the strategy isn't final. We just found out today, to date, that there's a high need for it in Switzerland just to make the treatment faster, and there's a high need for it outside of Switzerland, primarily Eastern Europe, with dental tourism topics, that to make it safer. And what we've seen in the US to now is that they're bolder, they load implants faster, for example, and therefore it would be really interesting. But till now we haven't interviewed many dentists in the US, so that definitely needs more elaboration. we would be happy to accept the help.
Last question in the back.
Thank you very much for the back. Thank you very much for your presentation. I was just wondering, how do you differentiate from classical osteoporosis, where they also determine bone density in order to predict diagnostics or treatments?
Our technology goes directly in this direction. It comes from formal osteoporosis diagnostic procedures, and we adapt it for doing those measurements and simulate the interaction of an implant inside the bone. So this means actually that this diagnosis is already implemented in our technology.
All right, thank you very much. Implants. All right, you've already seen in the Cambridge pitch, there's a lot to learn when you look at people's eyes. The eyes are the window to the brain, so to say. God knows what you're going to find there. So be careful when you go do the demos outside, you know, we don't take any guarantee. And yes, welcome to the world of MedTech. MedTech is a lot about diseases and, of course, how to treat them. So I'm very happy that we have now the next pitch from MachineMD. MachineMD is a true Bernese success story with a medical doctor from Bern and an entrepreneur from Bern working together to make it happen, and give a big hand to co-founder and CEO Dominik Senn.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today and presenting you MachineMD. My name is Dominik Senn. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of MachineMD. At MachineMD, we are a digital health tech startup that is using VR and AI in order to measure brain function. So we are measuring how well the brain works. And we're doing this based on observing eye and pupil movements. This might sound like a novel approach. It is not. Actually, it is a standard clinical practice to look at how the eyes and pupils moves in order to see if everything works in the brain as it's supposed to work. Today, these type of examinations are done every day, millions of times, by ophthalmologists, neurologists, and also optometrists. The problem, the way these examinations are done today, is that they are manual, most of them, and they are therefore highly subjective. So misdiagnosis rates are up to 50%. Patients have to wait a very long time in order to see a specialist that is actually capable of doing these examinations in a very good manner. And a full examination takes up to 1 hour to perform. This we will change with our medical device, NEOS we call it. It's integration of our software and clinical data processing with existing high-end VR hardware. So we are bundling this together in order to put this product on the market. The good thing about NEOS is it's scalable, as it's a software business from our side, basically. It is fully automated, so it integrates 8 single existing examinations into one examination flow, and therefore reduces time, and it produces highly accurate and clinically validated measurements for the clinician. From a clinical perspective, why it's good for them to have such a device, it's efficiency first, so they reduce examination time, they free up time of their doctors because now a technical assistant can do the examination, they improve the quality of their caregiving and of their diagnostic services, and they earn more money because they can get reimbursed for all the examinations that they're doing with our device as they are already done today. We simply do it in a different way. So for them, it's basically seeing more patients in the same time, providing more comprehensive care, and earning more money. The business model is a pay-per-exam model, so we charge $9,500 for the device, that is the VR headset, the laptop, and also the software pre-installed on the device. We charge $3,000 as an annual recurring license to access our cloud backend for the data processing and storage. And then we charge $10 per exam that a clinician is doing with our device. If we look at the customer lifetime value over 6 years, this adds up for the expected or average customer to about $70,000. So that's annualized recurring revenues on our side of about $10,000. If we look at the profit margin for the clinic or the practice, they earn about $25 for each exam they are doing with our exam, taking into account all the costs they have, so including labor costs, etc. on their side. So each time they use the device, basically they make money. The financial planning here, I would just like to highlight a few numbers. So we want to get to break even in 2026. The goal is to generate nearly 60 million of revenue by 2029, and the gross margin is about 85%, which is a good benchmark for a medtech company. The regulatory side, we are right now a Class 1, registered Class 1 medical device in the US, in the UK, and in Switzerland. We will start shipping the first devices in the coming weeks, and we will in the coming month submit for a Class 2 clearance through the FDA and CE marking also as a Class 2. This is needed in order to provide more diagnostic information to the clinician, which will increase the clinical value of the measurements we are doing. If we look at the market, just Europe and the US, it's about a 2 billion market. We think that about half of the market, so 1 billion, is accessible to us. This market size can be substantially increased if we are also adding opticians and general practitioners to the target customers. For this, we need a further 2 to 3 years of product development and clinical studies. So we start with ophthalmologists, neurologists, and optometrists. If we look at the competition, there is no other device right now that provides an easy-to-use, comprehensive examination of eye and pupil movements for assessing the brain. There are a couple of providers that have VR headsets to do some ophthalmic tests, but they don't provide a comprehensive solution. What we have done is we have integrated 8 examinations in one examination flow. We have protected this integration through a couple of patent applications in order to reduce examination time for the full examination down to about 10 minutes, which is super important for the clinical acceptance. If it takes longer, then the uptake will not be there. The go-to-market strategy is quite straightforward. We start, as I said, in the coming weeks, shipping to the first customers in the US, the UK, and Switzerland. We go direct for the early adopters and the first customer, and then we scale up through distributors. Our focus is a top-down focus, so we always start with the key opinion leaders in the different markets and the top institutions. We want them to first embrace what we are doing before we go to additional clinicians. If we look here, you see some of the KOLs that are already today using prototype versions, as we just finished product development so that we can release it as a medical device actually yesterday. So some of these people are already using prototype versions, others will get the full medical device in the coming weeks. And there we have people like Robert Zergold from Jefferson University, Joe Rizzo from Harvard Medical School, and Mass Eye and Ear in Boston. So really kind of the top leading figures in this field. The team, we are a team of senior professionals, so it's not the typical PhD startup. Most of us have 10, 20 years of experience in what they're doing at MachineMD, which helps a lot to move forward quite fast. On the financing side, that's why we are here. We are in the process of closing the Series A. We have raised a first tranche of 3 million last September. In overall, we are looking for 12 million, so 9 million are still open. And the goal is to reach break even with this money and to exit MachineMD in the coming 3 to 5, maybe 6 years to one of the leading players in our field. We would be super excited if some of you would join us on our mission to improve patient care by automating millions of eye exams every day. Thank you.
The pitching pro, amazing. So, questions to Dominic? Yes, in the back.
Thank you very much for your presentation. You mentioned some patent applications. Has there been any granted patent coming out of these applications?
No, not yet. We are in the nationalization phase for the first 2 patents, if I'm correct. Overall, we have filed 6 patents. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, question in the back.
Did you talk with Apple already?
That's a very good question. Yes, we did, and we did quite intensively. So they approached us, and we had a couple of meetings also with the health team in Cupertino. The goal would be to integrate our technology as a background monitoring health system, the same as you have like in an Apple Watch, for example.
Or could you integrate some of these sensors in some of these Ray-Bans Meta has developed, co-produced?
Yes, definitely that is possible. We clearly take the strategy on our own to develop a medical device for professional use, because there we are capable to really position it in the clinic first. If there is an opportunity to partner up with one of the big techs or make it more in a consumer way, that would certainly be interesting, but that's not our main focus. So there we are quite opportunistic.
Good. A question here, Jörg.
Seeing your sophisticated hardware, how do you secure that the supply? Do you have a double sourcing strategy? Things can go wrong there. Yeah?
Absolutely. Good question. So we have secured quite a big stock, which is actually stored in our cellar. So we have enough supply for at least until the end of 2025. That's the first thing that we did. And we have quite an extensive framework agreement with the supplier, and we have set up the software so that we can change the hardware. The problem that we have right now is that most of the VR hardware that is out there does not meet the minimal requirements that we have in order to do the measurements that we are doing. But this will come.
Good. Thank you very much. We also can meet you out at the booth.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. Yes.
Thank you,
to take
Dominic.
an exam.
And you saw, I mean, we always ask these startups, well, what's about the skin in the game, particularly the clinician, is really involved? And I can tell you that Professor Matthias Abeck, he's reducing his time in the clinic to spend more time in this startup. Now, the ultimate move of skin in the game is been done by our next presenter, who has been Oberarzt, is a neurosurgeon. You know, you often say, oh, this is brain surgery. He does brain surgery, okay? But not anymore. He has decided to stop his clinical career to fully dedicate his time to the startup. And actually, today is his last day as a paid neurosurgeon, so now it really counts, Martin. Give a big hand to Martin Chlavica from Rovica.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody, my name is Martin Hlavica. I'm board certified neurosurgeon and a co-founder of Rovica Neuroimaging, and I'm very excited to present you today our startup and how we'll give neurosurgeons eyes in situations where they're acting blindly. We're still having winter, and what do people love to do in the winter time? Skiing, yes. Unfortunately, this is one of the reasons for severe head traumas. Just think about Michael Schumacher. Patients with diverse reasons for severe head traumas, but also patients with spontaneous brain bleeding end up mostly unconscious, life-threatened in the emergency room, necessitating the placement of such a small single-use catheter, which is placed into fluid-filled brain cavities and allows to measure the pressure inside the brain and to decrease it by draining fluid outside if it's increased, which is a life-saving procedure. However, today we're facing two big troubles associated with that catheter. The first one is, how do we actually place that catheter? Do we want to save critical time and place it directly at the bedside, but blindly risking misplacement rates of about 40%? Or do we decide that we take the patient to the operating room where we have navigation technologies present, but we lose critical time of about 45 minutes because it's not like in TV shows when you snap with your finger and you're directly in the OR. No, it takes time. In US surveys, neurosurgeons reported that they tried even up to more than 20 times to place such a catheter in the same patient. Imagine how these brains look like, probably more like a Swiss cheese in a brain. There's another problem. The second one, once the catheter is in place, patients receive control CTs for monitoring purposes. However, CTs come along with transport-associated risks like unstable patients can decompensate. So what's the problem, or what do you do if you don't want or cannot take the risks? You don't do the CT. But if incomplete patient data, you don't know what's going on and you're acting blindly and you cannot adapt the therapy accordingly. And these two problems are really a big problem today. And we will solve them by enabling an ultrasound-guided, bedside, navigated insertion and also real-time monitoring directly at the bedside. So we'll enable a safe, fast, and cost-efficient placement and monitoring, cost-efficient, because every CT, every operating room minute, and every day on the ICU are associated with important costs. So we'll save time and lives, improve neurological outcomes, and save also hospitals' costs. So when you're looking at the catheters that are used today with drainage holes in the side walls to drain the fluid outside to the drainage system, we will insert sophisticated arrays of small sensors directly in the tip of the catheter for navigated insertion and in the side walls for real-time monitoring. The important information will be displayed on a small, easily portable monitor. There are different types of these catheters in the market, but none of them enables a navigated insertion and real-time monitoring directly at the bedside. Future customers will be hospitals worldwide that are offering neurosurgical intensive care. The global market for these catheters alone will be more than 400 million in 2030. However, our technology can be acquired in additional neurosurgical devices with a global volume of about almost 12 billion. We're talking here only about neurosurgery. Now, these catheters will be sold at an average price of 1,000. These are single-use catheters. The monitor, which is reusable, is planned to be sold at a cost of 10,000, like the razor blade system. For the catheter, we will have a gross margin of about 80%. However, our goal is to be acquired at a later stage by one of the existing companies with a product portfolio directly in that field. There are different exit options. We're aiming at the last one, adding maximal value to our startup, having our SONAV market-ready system with certification in place, and also having shown traction and with a limited market release. Now, for the go-to-market strategy, we'll first focus on the academic neurosurgical centers for the clinical validation of our product. And then in a second step, these centers will become also our customers, limited market release, and there will be added additional ones through a local distributor network. Once we have showed market penetration and traction, we will aim for exit for an acquirer with global reach. Now, the regulatory situation is a very important one. So we asked the experienced company Confinis to make a regulatory case assessment. These are the results. In the US, the biggest market worldwide, the product will be class 2 medical device. So for that, a standard 510K route should be feasible, needing preclinical studies and post-approval multi-center registry. However, to verify that, we will also make a 513G request at the FDA. Once that one is done, we will take the results of the multi-center registry and use it for the CE marking, because there the catheter is a class 3 device and the control a class 2B. Now, who is behind that? With experienced team. Mr. Blair Fraser has more than 35 years executive experience in the medical device sphere. We have 2 board-certified neurosurgeons besides me, Dr. Thomas Romberg, who is also the co-founder. From my side, I gave up first my academic career, moved away from the Inselspital in Bern to a private practice in Aarau, reduced continuously my working load, and finally decided to quit. So from tomorrow, 1st of March, I'm actually working 1% for the startup. From the technical perspective, we're extremely happy to have Dr. Abed Hamoud present, who's also here today, who is, when it comes to development of neurosurgical navigation technologies, has tremendous experience. And we're also very pleased to have an ultrasound engineer and quality system manager on board. Now, in 2022, when it started just by 2 neurosurgeons, what we did, we tested our value proposition with in-depth interviews in the Europe and US. We performed together with CSCM a theoretical feasibility study, and giving positive results, we applied also for VentureKick, where we won all 3 stages. We're further supported by System Startup Club, by Be Advanced, by InnoSwiss, and also by Standortförderung Bern. We protected our IP. We filed a PCT patent application, which is owned only by our company. And we finalized our tech partners because our goal is to stay lean and agile and work with highly specialized companies. We started with the prototype development, but we decided to split into 2 parts. The first one will be for navigated insertion only, and then the second one to add additionally also the real-time monitoring. To finalize that, to make also the preclinical testing and secure with further IP and verify the regulatory situation, we need in total 2.3 million. To finalize the product at the end, with all certification in place, which will put us to the limited market release, we will need probably about 9 million milestone based, with the goal to start limited market release in 2028. So as I mentioned before, we're splitting the prototype development. Reason why we're also splitting the 2.3 million, looking at the moment for 700,000 for the development of the first prototype, the catheter, also software and hardware. Out of those 700,000, we've received 190,000 from a private investor, which helped us to already start with the prototype development. And once this is done, we will seek for the other 1.6 million to proceed with these points that are mentioned here. In conclusion, this is a summary with a technologically innovative product meeting real clinical needs, with a strong management team, with also a strong KOL network, and we have an IP strategy in place. Thank you very much for your attention.
Right, questions for Martin? Question in the back.
What are the incentives for the institutions or medical doctors to switch to your technology? What are their tangible advantages? Could you describe that a little bit? And the second question is, how about the risks going forward? Where do you see the main risks before you have the first, let's say, broader usage for human beings?
Thank you very much for these 2 questions. So for the first one, I'd like to start why should a neurosurgeon take that one? I mean, the reason why I started that project is because we neurosurgeons were struggling from time to time to place such a catheter. And the problem is, if you don't place it correctly, if you hit it like it's placed here, you can make severe damage. The patients can be hemiparalyzed because of that. So there's always the pressure to place it correctly. As I said, you have a misplacement rate of about 40% every time, risking that you destroy exactly the point that you shouldn't destroy. And the alternative is you have a delay of treatment time. There's a big pressure and also a very negative aspect for the patient. So actually, we started when we were looking to make solutions to show our chief, hey, could we have something different? But there was not the solution on the market. So that was actually why we started that. That's the main point. And the second one is also that you need to shift the patients to the CT. And this is not only the radiation burden and transport cost, but mostly the transport as it risks. Because when you look at the patient on the left side, with all the gadgets to move that patient can easily decompensate. And also, when you move the patient to the CT table, you can tear out by accident the catheter and you're starting again from zero. Unfortunately, all seen myself.
You learn more than you thought about medtech issues, right?
The second question, you asked me about the risk where we see. Actually, the first one is to develop something, we also need the money. This is one of the risks to finalize our round. Then naturally, the regulatory case situations, we need to verify that. This is the reason why also in the next step, we want to make the 513G request at the FDA to really be sure this is what we did. However, we're very confident because we let it assess not just by ourselves, but a very experienced company from Confinis. There was somebody in place who actually has done something similar and put something similar through the FDA.
Now, Bert.
So the question also here, what is your product, and of that, what is reusable and what is single use?
Yes. The catheter, thank you very much for your question. The catheter, that one is single use. So when I move forward, so everything from here downwards is single use product, and everything behind that is multi-use. Yeah. This is also the way it is used today. Yeah.
We have one question online.
Yeah.
which would be, do you have any machine learning applications with ultrasound for this case and other conditions? If yes, have you started feasibility studies?
Very good question. Today with machine learning, artificial intelligence, at the moment for the first part not, but then afterwards it could be well incorporated also when it comes to the monitoring.
Okay, and also you have a booth outside?
Absolutely.
And also people have to come with pairs? Or? Okay, good. Hey, have further questions to Martin outside at the booth. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're coming already to our last regular pitch. Our last regular pitch is from the field of psychotherapy. Also a development here from the Bern region. Pretty happy with that. And it's about ELA, and it's a new way for the communication between the patient and the therapist. We're here having the founder give a big hand to Florence von Gunten.
Hello, good evening everyone. My name is Florence. I'm the founder and CEO of ELA, and I'm happy to present you tonight the future of psychotherapy. So what's the problem? We have actually lots of people affected by mental health problems. It's around half of the population experiencing mental health problems during their lifetime, and we have not enough therapists, so there are long waiting lists. We have little progress in psychotherapy. Actually only half of the people can also benefit from psychotherapy, high dropout rates, and we have rising costs in our healthcare system, which actually the numbers of the insurers last autumn showed again. We have the problem that around 75% of all patients with depression have a chronic or recurrent course. And we need to avoid this because that's what raises the costs. The traditional psychotherapy is limited because we don't involve the patient enough into the treatment. And the solution now is blended psychotherapy. That's what Thomas Berger, the internationally renowned expert for online psychotherapy here at the University of Bern, says, but also other experts in the field. And blended psychotherapy means the combination of the face-to-face sessions together with online tools. In this setting, we can more engage the patient and actually include it within the whole treatment journey. And we also have then chances to actually outsource certain topics of the treatment so that not everything needs to take place within the treatment, but can be also exceeded by the patient between sessions. So what we do with ELA is we develop a medical device software. We're the first one in Switzerland for the treatment of depression. So we have this combination of the on-site sessions together with our tools, and what makes us special also in comparison to our competitors is that we offer a transformative way of blended psychotherapy. So we're not only throwing an online tool to the market and say good luck with it, but we actually really help our customers to implement this new method in the field. Healthcare is not famous for being very digital native, so we have to support them on this journey, and we train our customers. We support various clinics now in implementing this new method in their fields, and also we provide a platform for the therapist, but also the patient to be in a constant interaction together. So with ELA, you can already bridge the waiting time. The patient can onboard to the app and get already exercises, journal to prepare for the first session. The therapist can then start well informed about the patient, saving 2 to 3 sessions in the beginning with information that he otherwise would need to collect. And then also during the session, he can further apply online interventions to the patient and hopefully finishing the treatment better in time, and then the patient is also supported in relapse prevention with the app. So this is our web application and also our mobile application for the patient. We have a demo at our booth. Come by and have a look. And what's the market? So it's a good one because half of the people are affected during their lifetime. Yeah. So we have actually every year 720,000, so almost 1 million people in treatment. We aim for a 10% market share until 2028. So our go to market, we are now we close now the development phase. We established our product, our QMS from ISO 13485. Now we are shortly before handing in the technical documentation as a Class 1 medical device and entering the Swiss market. We're also in negotiations currently with several health insurers in order to secure our reimbursement, which is obviously key for our case. Afterwards, we aim for the European, the DACH market, and then we extend further. Also depends on our languages we offer in the app in the European market. Our business model is we sell currently licenses to institutions, so to clinics, psychiatrists, group practices, single therapists. They already pay for that. And now on the other side, the patient license, this dashed line is because we're currently in these negotiations, but this will unlock our business case and then we can also reimburse the patient license. In the inpatient setting, we actually have the Fallpauschale in Switzerland, so there the clinic is willing to pay and cover the full price. Our regulatory requirements, currently we're a Class 1 medical device. We will further extend our functionalities in a more intelligent way in the future from our software. And then we're going into a Class 2A medical device, but we're doing this step by step so that we're not blocked now by entering the market. Our traction, we have actually since the beginning a co-creation with our customers and the patients in various research projects. This helped us to gain a lot of customers and good relationships with them. So currently we have 10 institutions as customers and almost 100 users on the app. We have a strong team. Actually, our office is here in the 4th floor. We are a team of very diverse expertise that come together, and our values are this co-creation, quality, simplicity, and evidence-based. And we also have a strong board that is actually not only nicely on this slide, but really hands-on supporting us. It's Thierry Kneisler, the former CEO of Twint, and Markus Wies, who is the owner of the private clinic Wies. And we have this very close collaboration with the University of Bern, Professor Thomas Berger, which gives our case a lot of trust in the field because he's very renowned for his expertise in this field. Financing, so we could finance our case quite nicely so far, also thanks to people in here. And now we're currently seeking another 1.5 million. With this, we will reach our break even in the turn of 25-26. So I'm open to discuss. Please reach out and yes, contact me and step by, especially if you would like to have access to our app. It's also nice if you're still healthy, hopefully. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Questions for Florence? Yes.
Thank you very much for the nice presentation. So I'm wondering, in terms of clinical efficacy of the product and building the evidence, what is your level of current clinical evidence, and what plans do you have to demonstrate the clinical efficacy of the product?
There is strong evidence with other products, so we can claim for equivalence. There is a clear evidence in the efficacy, and now, but we would like, so we're planning currently a research project for 4 years, which was handed in by Thomas Thomas Berger at the SNF. Actually, by the end of March, we should get an answer whether this project is approved, and this would be a RCT over 4 years. He planned to test effectiveness and cost efficiency with ELA. Yeah.
One question here.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I have 2 questions. So, first of all, like, what is your business model? How do you charge the psychiatrists or customers? And second of all, like, not to be mean, but like, what does set your app apart from like just using Google Meet, for example? Like,
Google Meet.
Like to make the video conferences.
Ah,
with the
I see. I understand. So, so we have a SaaS license model. So that means we sell yearly licenses per therapist at the clinic. That means for a team for 20 therapists, so it depends the size of the team, but then we can earn per clinic per year between 20 and 50,000 for licenses. And on your second question, I mean, with ELA, it's not that you still go to the face-to-face session with your therapist, but between sessions, you can use then the app with the exercises and questionnaire the therapist allocates to you, and then you can continue on practicing on these exercises. So it's really intensifying your treatment. Yeah.
Yes, in the back.
I have a question in 2 parts again. First, mental health is a broad spectrum of whatever issues. Which part are you, or in which part is that model applicable, and where does it work? And the second question is, I can imagine if we're probably 1 or 2 years down the road, we're gonna see the first AI-based, large language model-based stuff doing some very simple simulation of, let's say, talking partner or whatever. To what extent could that, well, challenge your approach?
Yes. So currently we focus as a first indication on the case of depression, because actually 70% of all the patients are suffering from depression. And now we have the chance to extend step by step this indication. This year to anxiety and sleep, next year to addiction. This we do actually with a specialized clinical partner. And so we have the chance to extend. And there are already chatbots that respond to a patient. But on the one hand, still patients seek the personal contact to the therapist. That's actually very important, the relation you have, especially for psychotherapy. And on the other hand, there is also currently, there is still a high risk, you know, because if somebody in the chatbot says, oh, I walked on the bridge, the chatbot would say, nice, you did a walk outside, you know. And so it's not yet there that they can estimate the risk. Might be in the future, but I think we are strong with still having the personal contact. Yeah.
Hi.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Very interesting topic. Since your business model is SaaS and you go into the VC route, you're probably forced on like scaling up your revenue very quickly and continuously increase the lifetime value of the clients. Like, how do you morally kind of balance this with your treatment goals and the promise that you treat fast, because that's actually counteracting your KPIs?
I'm not sure actually whether I understood your question. So
you're forced by the VCs to scale fast,
okay.
Right? And you need to increase LTV of each user in the subscriptions, but you want to treat fast, so that's counteracting. How do you balance this morally?
Maybe I didn't understand the question, because currently we're not talking so much to VCs, but business angels. That's what we actually search. And I mean, yeah, of course, you want to make the patient healthy, that's clear. But there are so many that are not having treatment yet. So the luck of psychologists and also of us is we don't need to worry so much about our customer base. They are sadly there, and it's huge. And also trend shows it's actually plus 6% of people that more and more get sick. So I'm worried, or also it's good for our case, but we will have enough people to treat. Even though we do it faster, it's better for our society and makes our costs overall cheaper. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right, so this concludes around the regular pitches. We will now have one last pitch which is called Active Funding Round Pitch. So that's a company where some of you have already invested the money, and you're probably asking yourself, how are they doing? And I'm very happy to actually present this case because I have accompanied this team from the very early days. And please give a hand to Magnus with Olgaj and George.
I'm one of the co-founders, together here with Olgaj. And what does Magnus do? It's again another cutting-edge technology, but a bit different. Let me just start with the slides. So, we are addressing neurological diseases like Parkinson, Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis. And how do we do that? So, first let's look at the numbers because they're really scary. Due to the elderly population, this will be exploding in the next decades, over the next 30 years. And there is no treatment out there. Just looking at Parkinson's, we're talking currently about 10 million people living with this disease. And the interesting thing about this is that these people, 90% of the Parkinson's patients, suffer of something called gait disorder, which means their brain is not capable of moving their feet correctly. And what we do, we have developed AI in the shoe, as we call it. The shoes I'm wearing are one of the smartest shoes out there currently in the market. They measure every step I take. They understand exactly how I'm moving. I'm about to move left, move right, and we are correlating this movement to the brain diseases. And we're selling the shoes to clinics, and they can use them to adjust the medication. We're selling them directly to neurologists, and we charge them for the assessment. But what makes this really fascinating, we also can equip patients with the shoes, not for the measurement per se, but to stimulate the patient. And what the effect of that is a bit mesmerizing. I want to show it here to you. And that's the video, if we can play the video. This is one of our patients. It's at a conference. He's wearing the shoes for the very first time, and he has something called freezing of gait. The brain says move, but he cannot. Now we repeat, but now the shoes are stimulating. It's a different person. So what happens is the shoes measure every little movement and stimulate at the right moment via vibration to help him walk again. Okay, back to the slides. Excellent. The market is huge. I'm splitting it up in two parts here. One is selling the shoes to patients, and we're addressing 1.5 in the next 5 years. It's like 150 million. But we're also selling analysis to the clinics. And the numbers are pretty high as well. Again, just briefly on the business model. So what happens is we equip neurologists with our shoes, 10 pair of shoes, so they use them as a medical device at the clinic. It's a standard test. Every neurologist all over the world does it already, but they do it with the eyes. They don't digitalize the process. And we're trying to digitalize this process so they get the data. But we're also, through the clinics, getting access to these patients, and we stimulate the patients to walk again. So now, how do we go to market?
I'll take over from here. So, I mean, we are already established in Switzerland, and to go to market for the B2B case, we want to do the same in the US. So we want to first partner with prestigious clinics in the US, in the East Coast and West Coast, clinics like UCLA, UCSD, Stanford, Mount Sinai. So from there, we move on to other clinics, so having good references is really important. Then to the B2B2C side, selling this to patients, we have already patients referred from clinics in Switzerland or from physiotherapists, but in the US, we want to really partner with physical therapy clinics. So they will become our agents. So we want the patients to go to a physical therapy clinic to test the shoes and make the decision to buy it or not. based on like if it's effective or not. So we really want to partner with them, and we are picturing having one partner in each county in the US, and each clinic can bring between 500 to 5,000 patients to us in a year. And we already launching in the, California, and we have active partners in Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego, Sacramento, and Fresno counties. Yeah, let me move past again. So on the traction, so we have some significant achievements. We have the FDA listing end of last year in November. We have the CE marking as a measurement device, and we have also the pending CE marking as a medical device, class 2A, which we are expecting this year. And we have already like over 1,000 patients assessed at clinics, and over 100 patients using our shoes for the feedback. And you can see also here some of our reference customers in Switzerland. We have really strong clinics using our solution, like you have said, Hirslanden, Inselspital, Schultes Clinic, but we also have now some US partners like clinics using it, like UCLA, UC San Diego. They're already using our shoes. On our team, so we are a spin-off from ETH Zurich. George and me are the main co-founders. We both did PhD at the Institute of Robotics at ETH. We have a really strong technical team rooting from ETH, but at the same time we have a really diversified and interdisciplinary team. So we have strong also marketing and sales people in the company. They have experience in working in companies like Hokoma, MEDTECH, so they bring a lot of also sales knowledge in the medical domain. And we already actually have one SICTIC investor on our board, Cristiano. And yeah, our team is supported by a really strong advisory board. We have corporate advisors. These are people with years of experience in their respective fields. And of course, we have also strong medical and regulatory advisors. This is crucial for I think, medtech startup. So this is important to kind of keep this dialogue with the medical and regulatory people. I mean, looking at our roadmap, so we are already established in top clinics in Switzerland. We just got the FDA end of last year. Now, actually, we are at the moment launching in the US, starting in California. In the second half of this year, we'll move on to other states like New York, Massachusetts, and Florida. We expect to generate over 1 million revenue in the US already this year, and reaching over 10 million next year. And then we will continue going to other diseases and also regions in the next years. Talking about other conditions, our main focus is assessing neurological conditions now, especially Parkinson's disease and movement disorders. And we see also potential applications in other fields. I think some which are in the pipeline are diabetic neuropathy, assessing movement disorders in children, measuring risk of falling in elderly, and also using our solution as a digital biomarker for pharma. And yeah, at the end, like our financing round. So right now we have an open bridge financing round. We are raising 1.2 million. This is going to be used to achieve important milestones in the US market. And we are targeting like a Series A round next year after this, achieving these important milestones. And already over 700K is committed by existing investors. Thank you. And yeah, happy to have your questions.
And we get a statement from Marcel.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marcel Egger. I realized that I am the first investor talking within these startup pitches today. My objective here is to tell you why I think this is a great startup and why I believe that it makes sense to follow them. First of all, and please don't ask me any questions on the medical side. I'm from SICTIC, so hence more on the digital side. The first thing that I liked a lot here in this company is that the team, out of one initial key idea, which is measuring the gait and the movement, they were able to develop 3 products for 3 different sectors through going to the different potential clients, asking what do they need, and developed it for them. And actually they realized these 3 levels, which is the B2C, going directly to the patient. The second one is going into the doctors, providing a support for the diagnostics. And the third one is in the development in the pharmaceutical area. So they showed really to be able to be close to the market and develop real solutions that are working right now. The second one is now that they have proven this traction, the next stage is to grow, is the scale up. And in the scale up, they have an opportunity which is great. The first thing is to sell the product or to place the product, the shoe. And that one is just the beginning of the new venture, because once the patients are using the tool, once the doctors, once the pharmaceutical companies are using the solution, then they can start increasing the turnover by increasing services, by increasing the usage of the different kind of solutions that they are developing in the AI area and so on. So I think that there is a high level of scale-up opportunities right now in that solution. And for me now, the next stage is really develop the sales structure, develop the go-to-market, and that is very much in the good stage to go now on.
Thank you so much, Marcel, for writing that. So we have time for a few questions to Magnus and the investor. Michael.
Thank you very much. I like your case a lot. My question is, could you patent the stimulation? Is this a patent there? Is there a patent for that?
We have 2 patents on the technology, and I mean, just having sensors to do gait analysis, you cannot patent that. That's really old idea, but our patent is focused on doing this real-time processing and doing this stimulation. So that's our first patent, and we have a second patent which is also focused on not just doing the stimulation with the vibrotactile feedback, but using this signal to feed it to other medical or let's say AR, VR devices. So we have 2 patents on the real-time processing and feedback.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Question here in the middle.
So one of the questions that came up to my mind, the classical way most or a lot of businesses go through the strategy is to really focus on one specific use case until they scale it, they're very successful at it, and then they scale into different areas. As you've mentioned, you've built 3 products. So I'm wondering about the challenges you faced and why you've chose that route.
It's not really 3 products. It's the same shoe. It comes under different certifications, but actually our main focus is to equip clinics with this medical device so they can digitalize the process of addressing the diseases. Because currently one of the challenges neurologists face is adjusting the medication. Every patient goes once or twice per year to the clinic and he needs an adjustment of the medication. And that's where the measurement of the movement is the most crucial part. From there, stimulating and selling the shoes to the patient or selling shoes for clinical trials, it's the same hardware. We're just having a bit of a shift in the software. We're more actually of a software company than a hardware company, but we need the sensors to collect the data.
Pass on the microphone, please. Good. Last question. Moving up a little bit.
Sarcopenia is a growing problem in patients with chronic disease, and given your algorithms potentially could detect it, would this also be a strategy to further market or to go?
Excellent question. Yes. Yeah. As simple as that. Yes. Yeah. We are already looking into that. Yes.
Thank you, Magnus. Thank you. Okay, we know it's a long session. We finish up with 2 super short pitches of 90 seconds, and then we're going to wrap it up. So I'm asking for a 90-second pitch from Riccardo Semadini from Medirub.
Good evening. My name is Riccardo Samadini. I'm the CEO of MEDTECH. My co-founder is Dr. Shlomo Ashkenazi, a distinguished cardiologist. We have developed EchoRap, a software, a novel AI-powered software for echocardiography. Echocardiography is a vast and highly complex field. According to a global study, the misdiagnosis rate is 16% or more today. We are going to change that. EchoRap provides in-depth diagnostic support for cardiologists and significantly improves the diagnostic accuracy. It also automatically provides full-text medical reports at the single click of a button. Overall, EchoRap is a massive gain for cardiologists. It streamlines the entire process and helps them to save about 1/3 of the time per patient. And it allows them to do much better diagnosis, ultimately saving lives. EchoRap is a SaaS solution. Our customers are hospitals, clinics, and private practices. We estimate the addressable market to be about $8.6 billion globally. We have just launched EchoRap in the Swiss market and already have paying customers. Currently, we are launching a pilot with the famous Hirslanden Group in Zurich. We are happy to tell you more at our booth. Join us to transform cardiology and save lives. Thank you.
Ricardo. No Q&A on the short pitches. Last one for the night, Regenoska, Eva Maria Bale. Hey.
Okay, it's my honor to close the session of today. So I'm Eva Maria Ballet, I'm the CEO of Regenoska, and our patient, he's suffering from a blocked urinary passage, a so-called urethral stricture. But he has a second problem. He has the dilemma to choose between a minimally invasive treatment with a high failure rate or an efficient open surgery where he has to pay with his own inner mouse tissue. Regenoska's solution is a minimally invasive one-surgery treatment using tissue span implants. No payment with own inner mouse tissue. No repeated cycles of minimally invasive interventions, but an off-the-shelf available implant that induces tissue regeneration at the implantation site. There are no living cells in the implant, but as soon as inside the body, the cells from the surrounding tissue are migrating into our implant, they are growing, forming new tissue, while the implant is absorbed by the body. You can compare our implant with a bridge. It is stable enough to bridge a soft tissue defect, it allows cell crossing, and thus favoring tissue healing. We have shown the capacity of our implants to induce tissue healing at the urethral stricture site in the first 5 patients. Today, all the 5 patients can again void normally without any pain. Urethral stricture accounts for more than 1.5 million visits to healthcare centers in the US each year, and I'm really looking forward to meet you and to have a longer discussion to present you our technology platform and tissue span implants that act like a bridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. You got to all learn that, right? Making a 90-second pitch is hard. Okay, so you probably wonder now, how is the process going on? How can you now invest in these startups? What to do with all your money? And for that, I'm very happy that we hear this from Stefan. He's the VP of SICTIC Investor Relations. Hello, Stefan.
Thank you very much. First of all, are you ready for another 30 slides? Joking. Just a few closing remarks. Please indicate interest for the startups you saw here today. There are a lot of amazing startups. My background is 20 years at Google, where I worked in go-to-market and strategy across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I worked on a lot of startup efforts. Switzerland is for me one of the most underrated ecosystems. These startups need all our support to grow and have an impact. And I just want to highlight this to make sure that you're not missing out on opportunity of one of the next big stories that are out there. So what are the steps? Indicate your interest, as mentioned earlier, with the QR codes. We had the pitching event today. We have, on the 11th and 13th, a deep dive session. So if you're interested to learn more about some of those startups, you have the opportunity to connect with them and learn more about what their plans are and really make your first assessment if you think you want to go deeper with them. And then on the 18th and 19th, it's the committing phase. Then it's basically getting a bit more real, where we organize a first due diligence, really concrete in terms of numbers, etc. So these are the next steps. A few more things I want to mention before closing. SICTIC offers a lot of great webinars and academies where you can learn a lot. There's a mix of different experiences here. You might want to learn a few things before investing in some of the startups, a lot of money. Go there, we offer them as webinars or also as live sessions. Here's one in Bern, planned for the 11th of March around business models. We have a fantastic team of 3 people here coming to Bern to present and offer you a session where you can ask questions and learn about business models. Also, SICTIC publishes this very popular Swiss Angel Investor Handbook. Whenever you have any question, look at it. It answers, I think, most of the questions. And if not, we're here for you as well. So don't be shy to reach out. We have a good amount of events upcoming for the just first half of the year. I'm sure there's something for you that you might be interested in. So sign up. The events are live on our website. The QR code is here as well. We'd love to see you at those events as well in different locations. And we have more in the second half. With that, I think I first of all want to say also thank you to Heiko for such an amazing presentation and going through the evening. Use the opportunity to connect with the startups. They have booths out there. They wait to talk to you and would be happy to give more input for you to help you with your decision process, if an investment is interesting for you or not. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And let me just close by giving you 3 rules to follow on the upcoming networking apero. Okay? Rule number 1, go see the startups. Okay? Nobody can drink a wine who hasn't seen at least 2 or 3 of the startup presentations there, okay? And you can see you can die from a lot of things, so the more you familiarize yourself with the diseases, the better it is, and the more you can help us to prevent them. Second thing, as we are in Bern, I have to explain this. Please talk to at least 1 person that you don't know yet. Okay, I know. Oh, wo ist der Urs? Wo ist der zum Glück der Urs? And they talk to the same person they talked to for the last 3 years. Don't do that tonight. Tonight we talk to new people. Okay, to make this easy for you, we put the names of people on a little sticker that is on your jacket. We made the sticker pretty small, so you have to walk up a little bit. Okay, it works like this. And if you don't know what to say, you say Jörg, you read this from the sticker, don't say Jörg to everybody, you say Jörg, which company did you like best? Jörg will answer something, you reply, a conversation will occur, okay? That's networking. Third rule that you also please follow, when you're standing there with your wine glass and you already see from the corner of your eye, you already see it, somebody's coming to you. Somebody you don't know yet. Don't run away. Don't panic. Stay in place, cool, calm, and collected. Okay, the person will say something, you reply, you will network, you'll exchange your LinkedIn contact. It was a great pleasure for me today to run this first of its kind event of SICTIC, CTEM, and CTEM Startup Club. Thank you all for being here. Looking forward to your apero. See you later. Bye-bye.